Midnight light on a dim-lit screen, clicking through stories you wouldn't believe. Cold case trails and courtroom scenes, whispers from the grave and media dreams. Truth is stranger, hearts beat faster, in the shadows of a news disaster. Scrolling deep where secrets hide, you found the stories time won't deny. Headstones and headlines, the tales collide. Justice and mystery, side by side. From backwoods clubs to breaking news lines, you shine a light where the silence lies. Oh, headstones and headlines, you dig where the truth won't die. Small town rumors and urban fear, a voice for the lost who can't speak here. Through every name, through every case, you hold the truth in a steady place. Cameras roll but justice lingers, truth unravels through careful fingers. You tell the story, speak their names in a world that's quick to look away. Headstones and headlines, the tales collide. Justice and mystery, side by side. From backwoods crimes to great night trials, you trace the echoes through every mile. Oh, headstones and headlines, you dig where the truth won't die. Some run from the dark, you walk right in with a question and a camera lens. It's not just a crime, it's the lives they led. The voice is still talking from the books unread. Headstones and headlines, the veil is thin. Truth gets louder when you begin. With every view, with every line, you bring the forgotten back to life. Oh, headstones and headlines, you dig where the truth won't die. Yeah, headstones and headlines, you tell the stories that time can't hide.
Hey everyone, happy Monday. I hope everyone is doing well. It is absolutely beautiful here in upstate New York. It was 80 degrees and it's supposed to be 80 all week, which is sad because fall was here, which I love fall, it's my favorite, and now summer has taken over again. Summer has taken over again. So thanks for being here. I did see Nanny and Kursuma. Thanks for being here. Today, we are going to, let me rephrase that. We are going to continue to talk about Ursuline High School. Give me 1 second. They found out who did it. What do you mean? Did what? So we are going back to Ursuline High School, where a second lawsuit was filed on September 10th. So late last week. Was it Wednesday? Wednesday of last week? By a young girl who is claiming that a Ursuline football player violently attacked her, was stalking her, menacing towards her, and we should be able to get through the whole thing today because it's only 50 pages long. So if not, we'll just do it again tomorrow. I cannot, Nanny. I can only see, hold on a second. So on my phone, I just say, I see good Monday. Hi, Emmy, hope you had a good day. And then I see your next comment is they found out who did it. And then the same in StreamYard, I can only see those comments. So I don't know what you wrote before that. And then I see Kursuma said, hi, Emmy. Weird. Oh, hold on a second. I have, sorry, so I only have one kitten left that I started fostering at the end of last school year. And he is very sad that his brother has left him. So he just cries and cries and cries when he's in his enclosure. He cried all night. And so I let Periwinkle out so he's not by himself. Well, he keeps instigating my cats. So now they're going after him. And I said to him, I just told him, if you're going to mess around, you're going to have to go in your crate because I'm trying to do something here. Hopefully he finds something to do because I really don't want to put him in his enclosure because you'll hear him crying. There was a false threat at one of our schools. I said, in these days and times, you don't do that. Absolutely not. Nope. No way. So Perry is getting fixed tomorrow. He's going to get neutered. And then my director is going to take him to her house where she has other kittens his age that he can play with. And then I will be on an emergency basis only until the end of the school year when I get more fosters. So before we start with the lawsuit, I did want to give a little bit of attention to a channel that claims to have exposed me. It seems like they want a little bit of attention. So we're going to give them a little bit of attention. And so they changed their name. It was Exposing Headstones and Headlines. They are now Headstones and Headlines Exposed. So they have exposed me. And I hadn't checked out their page in a little bit because I was privacy striking them, but whatever. So I decided to check it out yesterday, and I see this post that they posted, and it just says LOL because we were covering, it was the last day that we were covering the first lawsuit from Ursuline High School, right? So this was the last part that we had done. And so let me see if I can zoom out. So they put LOL, right? Because I had 9 people watching. So then you go to the next page and they have Queen Bee, 1.4K watching. First off, I'm not sure why you're comparing me to someone with over 20,000 subs, nor am I mean, how do I want to say this? Nor do I understand why you are comparing what I'm talking about to talking shit on another creator. Because I'm pretty sure, maybe I'll do an experiment. I'm pretty sure if I put, something about B in my title, my thumbnail, I would probably get hundreds of people in my chat. So I just wanted to give this person a little bit of attention because I think they're feeling some sort of way. Oh, look, 2 weeks ago, shocking that you're still protecting that predator. Now it's a problem when that broke homeless bum gets called out. Yeah, okay. Oh, see, they must have taken a little vacation because it was 2 weeks ago was the last post. This one was interesting because it said, so this was about the Minneapolis Catholic school shooting. and they post, I would expect a certain school teacher on here to address it. So yeah, spineless when it comes to an important topic like this. Clearly, this person is an idiot because I did cover this in detail. And the fact that they shared Karma or No Wire Hangers post, clearly it's someone in that circle. So I just figured I'd give them, a little bit of attention since they seem like, they were lacking attention from people who actually care. I can imagine who didn't. Yeah, I have my thoughts on that. It's stupid. And like I don't compare myself to Queen Bee. Because first off, I'm not her. I have a job. And the one thing that I have that she doesn't is retirement. I will have a pension for the rest of my life. I won't have to rely on YouTube in order to support myself. So there's that. Yeah. Anyways, let's get to this because that is less important. So back to Ursuline High School, and I guarantee that they're watching me right now, and they're going to take a screenshot that I only have 5 people watching. Well, it's better than no people watching, and at least I know that people are here because they want to hear what I'm saying and not hate watching. All right, listen, buddy. Last time I want to tell you, you need to go find something to do, okay? Because I'm trying to do something. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Okay, so this is just a summary of what was posted about the lawsuit that was filed, and then we'll get right into the lawsuit itself. So family sues Ursuline High School under Title IX for failing to protect daughter from football players' alleged sexual harassment, stalking, and violent assault. Suit. Daughter pleaded with Ursuline Assistant Principal Margaret Damore, so you're just never going to help me? And Damore responded simply, no. So Youngstown, Ohio, again, Mahoning County. Ursuline High School is a Catholic school where football seems to be more important than the other students. So today, a minor female high school student, through their mother, filed a federal Title IX civil rights lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Ohio against Ursuline High School. Assistant Principal Margaret Damore, Athletic Director John DeSantis, the Catholic Diocese of Youngstown, and an Ursuline student identified in court as Ursuline Player-6 and his parents. The suit alleges the student violently assaulted, sexually harassed, stalked, and menaced the girl. Title IX is the federal statute that prohibits sex discrimination and sexual harassment in education and retaliation for opposing it. The complaint alleges that high school officials intentionally failed to act even after the mother and daughter notified them because the player was a, quote, venerated star football player, end quote. The lawsuit uses pseudonyms for the alleged victims. In the filing, the family is identified as Mother Chef and Daughter Chef. Allegations: violence, harassment, stalking, menacing, indifference. According to the complaint, a pattern of predatory sexual harassment and violence began in June 2023 when Daughter Chef and Ursuline Player-6 were freshmen. The lawsuit states that Player-6, a 6-foot-tall football player, repeatedly solicited sex and nude photos from the petite, under 5-foot-tall female student. At the time, she had just finished grade school and was still playing with baby dolls. And I said the first time, that's a little dramatic. When she rejected him and blocked him on Snapchat, his harassment allegedly escalated. The complaint alleges that on the last day of summer gym class, Player-6 chased Daughter Chef, picked her up, violently dropped her on the ground twice, and dragged her across rough turf for 30 feet. The filing says this caused serious injuries, including severe turf burns on her back, and we will see photos of that. Mother Chef reported the attack to school officials. The complaint alleges that Damore and DeSantis, both of whom are legally mandated to report suspected child abuse, were notified but failed to report the incident to Children's Services or law enforcement. The filing quotes Damore as having strongly advised Mother Chef against filing a police report and promising her the school would, quote, handle it and separate the students that fall. Contrary to that promise, the complaint alleges Ursuline placed daughter Chef and Player-6 in the same class in the fall of 2023. The harassment allegedly continued with Player-6 stalking and menacingly ogling daughter. The filing recounts repeated reports from daughter Chef to school staff and corroborating complaints from family members, all, the complaint alleges, disregarded by school administrators. When daughter's older brother, an Ursuline graduate, contacted DeSantis to express concern and disappointment, the complaint quotes DeSantis' dismissive text message response as, "The situation you mentioned happened 4 months ago. If there is something going on, she needs to report it to me on Monday morning." The complaint alleges that within days of daughter's report, Player-6 loudly called her a snitch and told classmates within earshot of daughter, "She tried to get me in trouble, but she failed." The filing contends Player-6 was emboldened by a school culture that elevated football as a false idol and discouraged accountability. Player-6 felt he could do anything to daughter and get away with it because Ursuline administrators made him feel that way. Hey, SoFlo, how are you? Daughter's complaint also highlights a prior incident in which a school... Daughter's complaint also highlights a prior incident in which a coach told a former student that coaches, quote, have to make tough choices to protect the better players to win games, end quote, cited as evidence of the school's prioritizing football success over student safety. And we saw that with the last lawsuit. It is all about prioritizing football and making sure that they are a, fantastic football team. Although their season was canceled because the other schools canceled because they didn't want to be associated with Ursuline while the lawsuits are ongoing. The suit also alleges that Assistant Principal Margaret Damore retaliated against daughter for her legally protected activity of complaining about Player-6's conduct by imposing disproportionate discipline on her for minor transgressions compared to other students, and certainly relative to the total lack of consequence for football Player-6's alleged brutal attack on her. Hey, Pooks, thanks for being here. So you're just never going to help me. In reaction, the suit states, daughter pleaded with Damore, so you're just never going to help me. And Damore responded simply, no. After 2 years of ongoing harassment, inaction, and retaliation, Mother Chef sold her home of 28 years and moved to a different school district so daughter Chef could transfer for her safety, the complaint states. The lawsuit alleges that a separate concurrent lawsuit, Chandra Law's Ursuline hazing complaint, alleges a broader culture of hazing, sexual and physical abuse, and the dissemination of child porn by football team members, and a school effort to conceal those abuses. Since that filing, Ursuline, on diocese letterhead, announced that 2 assistant coaches have been placed on leave and that the head coach has been suspended indefinitely. Hazing victims' lead counsel, Subodh Chandra, has called those steps insufficient. Title IX and other claims. The lawsuit seeks damages and injunctive relief. It asserts violations of Title IX and various state laws, and it alleges negligent supervision and retention, and civil liability for criminal acts like failure to report child abuse, felonious assault, aggravated menacing, and menacing by stalking. Thank you, SoFlo. Let me get over here on the right screen. SoFlo gifted 5 memberships. And Kursuma, Angie, Texas Girl, Jay-Z, and LG all received a membership. So welcome to the Stoners. And if you happen to see SoFlo here or on these YouTube streets, be sure to thank her. That was really sweet, SoFlo. Thank you. Alrighty, where was I? Here we are. The complaint further alleges that the diocese and Ursuline's training, supervision, and discipline of staff were negligent and reckless, and that school leaders turned a blind eye to student victimization because the school elevated the football program as false idols above student safety. Lead counsel Sabod Chandra said, the suit alleges defendants treated daughter chef's life, safety, and dignity as less important than winning football games. They allegedly covered for their star football player, lied to mother chef, and ignored the repeated pleas of their student and her family. Their claim to have acted with deliberate indifference toward a young, innocent girl's physical and emotional well-being. She remains in back pain. With this suit, the family seeks to force the defendants to live up to their duty to protect all students, not just their precious football stars. This family, along with others whose situation we are investigating, had the courage to come forward at long last because they learned about the Ursuline hazing lawsuit. We strongly encourage other victims and witnesses to come forward. They may use our secure contact form. Based on the volume and nature of the additional information we've learned, we anticipate additional related lawsuits being filed against Ursuline and its officials in the coming weeks. So we are going to get to that lawsuit. And I just thought of, I think I might have a clip that I wanted to show you. I totally forgot about it. So give me 1 second. Well, a few seconds, I should say. Let me just see if I have. Let's see, watch later. No, pause. Oh, is this it? Yep, nope. Yep, here it is. Okay, so there is so this might take 2 days because there is an interview that I wanted to show in regards to the second lawsuit. So we are going to watch that interview first, and then we'll get into the lawsuit. All right, let me add this. Okay.
You talk to us a little bit about this second lawsuit that was filed just today.
And this is about 25 minutes long. This lawsuit was again filed on September 10th, 2025. So just about a week ago.
Yes, so we filed a federal civil rights lawsuit in the U.S. District Court for a family that has been through a great deal. It's on behalf of a young girl and her mother. And the allegation in the suit is that when she was just right out of grade school and still, she says, playing with dolls, I mean, developmentally young, she arrived at Ursuline in the summer before the freshman year and was taking a gym class. And there was a football player who, she's under 5 feet tall and he was 6 foot. She's all of 120 pounds. And she was, persistently sexually harassed and solicited for sex by him. She, very innocent young girl out of grade school, she just declined his overtures. But nevertheless, he was persistent. At some point, she alleges that then escalated into a violent incident where outside he picked her up and chased her, picked her up, threw her hard to the ground, and then dragged her across some rough turf, resulting in severe turf burns to her back. That is photographed and depicted in the complaint. She and her mother then reported this to the assistant principal, Ms. Damore, and the allegation is that Damore was indifferent and hostile, and in fact, even specifically warned the mother, I strongly advise you not to report this to the police. Now, this was a football.
And it makes you wonder how many other incidents there may or may not have been that constituted calling law enforcement, or at least reporting the incident, because as it said, they are mandated reporters. And just to let this slide, I mean, I just feel like there's a lot going on in this school that is about to come to the forefront. Hey, Angie, thanks for being here. And congratulations, you did receive a membership just a few minutes ago.
Ball player. This was a person identified as player number 6, also in the hazing complaint. And the allegation of this complaint is that then over a period of time, despite asking for help and actually extracting a promise, perhaps a reluctant one, from the principal, the suit alleges that despite that promise, that come fall, she would separate these kids in a classroom. That did not happen. This girl wound up in the same classroom with her alleged assailant, and he continued to engage, the suit alleges, in harassing conduct, including ogling her and making overtures again and sending surrogates to her saying he wanted to get with her and so forth. She kept declining, and she did report this several times to the school, asked that it stop, asked that she be separated. The answer was no.
And that really gets me, because in all of the districts that I've ever worked in, if there is an issue between two students, especially something of this magnitude, that's the first thing you do, is to separate the kids who are having issues. And the fact that this girl asked not to be in the same class as this kid, and they said, no, we're not changing anything. That's not cool at all. It's almost like they did it on purpose. Like, that's messed up.
And finally, this continued over the course of 2 years. And then finally, she had a meeting with the assistant principal, the suit alleges, because she herself was being disciplined for some relatively minor infractions, and yet she was receiving a severe consequence. The suit alleges that that was retaliatory because of her reports, because in comparison to others' misdeeds, including a physical assailant who seemed to get no consequence, she finally asked the assistant principal, the suit alleges, you're not going to help me, are you? And the response, according to these allegations, was a simple no. It's further alleged that the alleged perpetrator here, the assailant, then called her a snitch and said, that she tried to get him in trouble, but it's not going to happen. And from this, the suit infers and alleges that what was happening was that even the football player understood, and this is consistent with the allegations in the parallel lawsuit regarding hazing, that football players understood that they were really above accountability in this culture at Ursuline, and the consequences of that can be devastating for victims like our client. Ultimately, after 2 years of this, the mother had enough. She wanted to protect the safety of her child, and she needed to. So she finally made the difficult decision to sell their family home of 28 years and move so that she could put this child in a different district where she is today.
Wow. If I have this correctly, we're talking about the first federal, the player in this lawsuit is also named in the first lawsuit.
Correct. It's the same
Wow.
designation, the same pseudonym, Player-6, in both lawsuits.
Oh, that's good to know. So Player-6. So that makes me wonder. Hold on. Let me go back, because I feel like I looked this up before. I just want to see. And they say Player-6 is a star football player, which means his name has probably been in the headlines quite often. All right, so let me go back to like page 50. Ugh, I don't know what's going on with my computer. So Player-6, I'm just scrolling quickly to see if he was named anywhere specific, like of doing specific things in the hazing lawsuit. And I see like the player 11, 12, 14, 15. Player-6. So Player-6 was not involved in the incident where they lured the boy back to another room where they assaulted him. Oh, here's Player-8. Okay, so Player-8 was actually... No, I'm looking for Player-6, not 8. Interesting. I don't see... So he must be a participant in the hazing, but I don't see him as being named for doing anything specific to the boy. All right, so he just must be associated with what happened. Okay.
So this, the victim in this case says this happened in June 2023. This has been more than 2 years and nothing, no investigation, nothing was done.
Well, that's her belief, and that's what she's alleging in the suit, because she repeatedly kept going to the principal. And again, the allegation of the suit is that the mother extracted an apparently reluctant promise from Assistant Principal Damore that she would address the issue in the fall, and that the students would be separated. But that didn't happen. They were assigned to the same class that fall of 2023. And again, it happened in the fall semester of 2024. So this poor young girl, complained about it and kept raising her voice over it. And actually, the suit also alleges that her elder brother was deeply disturbed by this, and he's an alum of the school, and he reached out to the athletic director, who's also a co-defendant here, and asked for action, and action never took place. And he was bemoaning the fact that no action was taking place, and expressing his concern and disappointment, and expressing concern about the safety of his sister.
Oh, but give me 1 second. If I go, let me just see what the, let's see, Player-6. Wait, was it Player-6 or Player-8? Oh boy, I hear hissing. I might have to... Oh yeah, it says Player-6. But there is no Player-6 named in the hazing lawsuit. That's why I couldn't find him. He doesn't exist. Unless they've added him at some point, but Player-6 is not named in the first lawsuit. Huh.
Now, all of this is important in the context of the legal claims, because the legal claims here include a violation of federal Title IX, which folks may be familiar with. That is the federal civil rights protection against sex discrimination and sexual harassment in education, in the field of education. And that includes K through higher education. It includes an allegation of Title IX retaliation, that the assistant principal here was retaliating against this girl out of anger for her having so persistently complained about her situation, all allegedly to protect the football team and to protect this football player. It states allegations under Ohio state law that are actually criminal violations, but that can be turned into civil claims and also have a separate civil component. And that is that administrators, coaches, and teachers are all considered mandatory reporters under Ohio law. The statute is clear and unambiguous that if an administrator, coach, teacher in a school becomes aware of an instance of child abuse, particularly one where there might be serious physical injury, as was the case here, as depicted in the photograph, then in those circumstances, they must report. It's not optional. They must report to law enforcement, children's services, or both. So when this child and her mother and her brother are repeatedly and persistently asking for action and it's not happening, what this suit is alleging is that's now intentional. That's not just at the low standard of negligence. You didn't do something you were supposed to do, like we think of car accidents. Say I was accidentally distracted. I looked the other way. I looked at a pigeon, and I had an accident. No, we're not talking about mere negligence. This suit is alleging intentional conduct, reckless conduct, where in the face of known danger, there's conscious disregard for the rights of this child. All apparently the suit alleges to protect the football team.
I want to ask you, attorney. Thank you. My apologies.
Narco says, if I was the parent, I would be in this class making sure this boy didn't harass my child since the principal couldn't do their job. Yes and no, Narco. So this interview, let's see, what's the date on this? September 11th. So that was Thursday, because the lawsuit was filed on the 10th, which was Wednesday. So this was Thursday. So it's new to us, but not necessarily new, like current.
Apology. I want to ask you, attorney Chandra, did this victim, did she come forward after the first lawsuit was filed?
Yes. So a couple of days, we heard from her a couple of days after the first suit was filed. Apparently it took a couple of days for it to sink in. And she and her mother finally had the courage and fortitude to come forward and make their allegations about what their experience had been. And their motivation, similar to the other family that we represent in the hazing lawsuit, is that they want to see accountability. That when they read the other suit, they realized they were not alone. They realized that the loneliness and isolation that they felt and the frustration of essentially asking for help and being denied help, in fact, even affirmatively to your face, being told, no, I'm not going to help you, that under those circumstances, they felt that they needed to really come forward and be voices, perhaps even for other people, not just themselves, who may have been victimized by any indifference at the school, particularly if it surrounded protecting football players and the football team in wrongdoing. This is a very serious matter for them. This is a child who's taken an enormous and courageous step in having her voice be heard. It's similarly awkward and difficult for the boy in the other case. We have heard from other victims, and we've assured these clients they are not alone. There are others. We are investigating those other matters. We anticipate that we will have additional lawsuits filed over the coming weeks.
And I did double check, just in case I'd missed it. There have been no new lawsuits filed, but I foresee many more possibly coming, because it's, just like with the hazing lawsuit, it seems that these football players were able to do whatever the hell they wanted with no repercussions, no consequences. They could do no wrong in the eyes of Ursuline.
We are asking and urging other alleged victims or witnesses or both to come forward, even if they don't want to pursue legal action, and even if legal action isn't possible, say, for example, because of the expiration of a statute of limitations. It's important for those who've had the courage to speak up. It's important for the other victims out there that they join forces, speak with one voice, be heard, because these two families are certainly determined to hold the diocese and to hold Ursuline accountable for the conduct that is alleged here.
Mr. Attorney Chandra, at every level, it seems there were so many failures for the safeguards that were in place to protect these students. Can you talk about why did it take so long for all of this to come out?
Well, that's not really for me to answer. That was probably something for Ursuline and the diocese to answer. But what I can tell you is that from my experience in my practice is that victims of sexual assaults, violence, are often living in shadows in our midst with their secrets, and they're living with shame that they don't deserve to be feeling, but that's what they're living with. And I think that's true of these two clients as well. It's certainly true of the boy that we represent. There's shame and feelings of shame and humiliation and depression, and they're finding their voices and they're speaking up. It's really, I think, a matter of time now that we're hearing from other victims and we're investigating their circumstances. It's really only a matter of time that there's a full accounting for the conduct at Ursuline.
That's my next question. What does full accounting look like? What does justice look like?
Well, so these, when you file a civil lawsuit, as contrasted with, say, criminal justice, then one of the primary objectives is to obtain money damages to compensate the victims who've experienced things that can't otherwise be compensated. Like when you've experienced the kind of depression that's alleged, for example, in the girl's suit, where she couldn't even go to school for 35 days and just didn't want to be there anymore and wasn't enjoying that time of her life. There needs to be compensation for that. But that's really, in so many ways.
And I'm curious if she wasn't able to go to school because she was afraid of retaliation, afraid of this boy, which I would be afraid of him. If someone picked me up and threw me on the ground and then dragged me across asphalt, I would be scared too. Or if it were because she was injured and wasn't able to go to school.
For these families, secondary to seeing an accounting across the board from the diocese level, to the extent that there were poor decisions about hiring, poor implementation of training, supervision, discipline, accountability vis-a-vis the school administrators, and then at the school, from the administration to the coaches to the players. And one of the things that's been so interesting about Ursuline's public statements in the last few days, they seem to be missing the point. First of all, where is the expression, the true expression of compassion for the victims and a determination to reach out and to try to resolve these issues? Totally absent from those statements. A statement about 2 coaches being put on administrative leave and the head coach being indefinitely suspended by agreement. It's hard to interpret what that means, other than, well, we need to sideline them while we investigate that. That's the best interpretation. The worst interpretation is we're doing damage control. And yet total silence with respect to the allegations against the administrators, and complete and utter silence with respect to the players. Now, in part, we understand that because there are educational privacy concerns, but there's still not even an expression that, look, we understand what happens here. We've seen the videos. We've seen photos. We understand the magnitude of what's happened here. We feel compassion for these victims, and we understand that players who've engaged in misdeeds need to be held accountable. And frankly, the football season be damned, right? So while it's not an objective of our clients to somehow ruin the fun of football at Ursuline.
And this interview was prior to Ursuline canceling the rest of their football season because of so many teams saying, nope, we're good. We're not going to play you. We don't want our name to be associated with your school. Narco says, has he said any more if the boys will be charged? This boy will be charged. No, he has not. He did say that the statute of limitations may have run out for criminal charges, but there is a basis for civil damages. Nanny says, was it the first mother who went to LE, or how did they become involved in the investigation? So based on what Mr. Chandra just said, it's my understanding that when the first lawsuit was filed, this mother learned of the lawsuit, and, he was encouraging, Mr. Chandra was encouraging, if you've been a victim or if you're a witness to something like this, come forward. And so they came forward, and I would assume that Mr. Chandra thought that there was enough evidence that they could gather to file this lawsuit against not only the football player, but the district and the diocese, plus the athletic director and assistant principal. And I'm not sure if this mom went to LE or not. I did skim over the lawsuit, but I haven't read it closely.
The fact of the matter is that in the normal world, actions have consequences. And part of growing up, even as a child, as a youth, as a teen, is learning that your actions have consequences. And if those consequences for children who participated in sexual acts without consent and perpetrated extreme hazing, to those who stood by and did nothing, to those who recorded and thought it was funny to record and disseminate and share child porn effectively, there have to be consequences. And so what we've seen is silence from the diocese, silence from Ursuline, And that has put our clients in a position where in the litigation, they're just simply determined to move forward and hold everybody to account, when really what ought to be happening here is everybody stepping back and saying, we have to do what's in the best interests of the children who are perpetrators, the children who are victims, the children who are bystanders, the children who are innocently having the name of their school tarnished perhaps by allegations against administration and players.
Right. And those other kids who have done nothing in this situation, but they're probably facing backlash as well. Silent Angel says, sorry I'm late. The boys that are involved in the first lawsuit are playing for the other schools who canceled their games. Cheney and Austintown, and also have a good friend who said 2 left for school, which is Mooney. That is Ursuline rivalry. Isn't that convenient? Isn't that convenient?
So that's what real compassion and problem solving looks like. And my clients across the board are very disappointed. I mean, they've been disappointed all along that there's been a lack of accountability. So you can't really exactly call them shocked that the adjustments by Ursuline and the diocese are happening in dribs and drabs, but they are happening only in dribs and drabs. And here's what I can tell you from my experience in doing crisis communications as a private lawyer for the city of Cleveland, for large institutions. I mean, every crisis communication specialist, whether they're a lawyer or just a communications professional, understands that this is what you do. You tell the truth, you tell it all, you tell it first. That's what you do. You rip the Band-Aid off and you get to the bottom of it. You accept responsibility. You hold the people that were responsible. But you don't sort of play these communications games where you say nothing happened, and then have these meetings with the parents where you say, nothing happened here. This is all just, lawyers with rival teams. And it just, none of that makes any sense. None of that makes any logical sense. And from what we're hearing, the parents understand that. The parents of these football kids understand, most of them, to our understanding, have a pretty good grasp that this got out of hand and things need to be done. And that the statements from coaches and the statements from administration and the statements on letterhead don't make any sense. The community is rejecting all of that as well. If you look at social media sentiment. Now, why is all this important? Why am I sharing this with you? Because it's reflecting the concerns of my clients about how this whole situation needs to be approached. And it's reflecting their desire that I say, once again, we want to hear from other victims. We want to hear from witnesses who have truthful information to share, because that collective airing and sunlight on what was in the dark corners is going to wind up being the best disinfectant under these circumstances, because it doesn't look like it's going to happen on its own. We're going to have to keep moving forward with getting the truth out.
Do you believe that there's a pattern there at Ursuline High School?
Well, I think between the complaint on hazing, all 200 pages of it, detailing the culture of the incidents, the cover-up, allegations, combined with this latest complaint involving another incident involving a football player involved in the first situation. When you look at all of that collectively, it does seem to suggest a pattern of misconduct. In fact, the complaint itself, this latest complaint on behalf of the young girl, refers to a modus operandi, a way of doing business, a mode of operations. And we believe that that's going to be further reflected based on
a mode of operations. That's interesting. Narco says, yes, my friend said he was at the store with his kids. They had their uniform on the other day. A few people started saying nasty things to them. They're innocent kids just going for academics. Yeah. I mean, the whole institution is gonna, to what end? The football team was what? There was 41 students on the trip. I don't know how many total football players there are. Let's see. Let's see if I can figure that out. Okay, so according to Google, for the 2024 season, so last season, there were 69 players on the roster for Ursuline. So I would assume that it's about the same. So about half the football team went on that football trip where they were doing those awful things. And guaranteed it wasn't the first time they were doing it. Oh, and actually Google says this answer is based on the most current roster information available for Ursuline High School. Oh, here it is right here. maxpreps.com, Ursuline football roster. 69 players, 2 staff. No, leave that alone, buddy. So about 69 players. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Investigations we're doing now and the forthcoming complaints we have coming, which is why we're saying to victims now, there is strength in numbers. You're not alone. Come forward. Let's get all of this out and let's make sure that the truth is known, because that might cause these systems to self-correct and for there to be accountability from the decision makers.
Okay. Attorney Chandra, what happens next?
Well, we are going to be conferring with counsel for the other side a little bit about some of the logistics of litigation, which includes the need to serve the complaint on people whose addresses we don't have at this time. So we either get cooperation from the institutional defendants on that, or we have to go to the court and get a court order ordering information to be released. And then in the litigation schedule now on these cases, lawyers are supposed to, the defense lawyers are supposed to file responses to the complaints. Then at that point, they meet, confer, they start to propose a schedule to the court, and we start moving on discovery.
That I would be interested too to see what the response to the initial complaint is from the school, the diocese, because I guess the diocese would be the, their legal team. Like, what response are they going to have? Do they have proof that they did anything? Or are they frantically trying to create proof that they tried to do something?
Our hope is that by the time as many of the allegations as can be aired are aired over the coming weeks, that there will be an appetite for a resolution on which all sides can agree. But we're not, and our clients aren't counting on that right now.
And
I agree with you, Silent Angel. They're probably going to have to get a court order. I totally agree with you on that, because just based on what I know now about Ursuline administration and, the board, the diocese, they're going to dig their heels in.
I think most would agree with you, football season be damned. But we just recently got news that they canceled, Warren G. Harding canceled the game next week, September 19th. And we're hearing about some other schools possibly canceling the game. Do you have any response to that?
Well, I can't really comment on that, because it was never our objective through these two pieces of litigation, or our client's objective, to somehow, ruin football for a community that enjoys it. That's certainly never been the objective. What was the objective was accountability. And so ultimately what the clients care about is that the players that they have alleged participated in misconduct, whether they're named as defendants or not, whether their parents are named as defendants or not, that there be a full accounting and proportionate allocation of responsibility and discipline for what has transpired and what is alleged to have transpired. So that's really their objective. It is understandable, of course, to our clients that there are going to be other schools that are going to have to make their own decisions about what they think is best for their children, for their community. So that's understandable. But really the objective here for our clients is to see the administrators, the coaches, the players who are responsible for what has transpired across both cases held accountable in a way that is as transparent as can be, consistent with the law, so that people can have more confidence in our institutions. I mean, I think this is a very important point to make. For both of these children, this episode is traumatic, not just because of violence perpetrated, not just because of harassment endured, which is bad enough as it is, and not just because of physical injuries and pain suffered by this young girl. It's not just that. It's that they lost their faith in adults. They lost their faith in the authority figures. They lost their faith in these faith institutions.
Yes.
And that's a robbing of childlike innocence that no child deserves to experience. And what the consequences of that will be over a lifetime, really, I can't fully articulate now. We're going to try to understand that. But what we hope, and what their parents hope, is that out of these two pieces of litigation will come not only accountability, but also a sense of healing because these children who are forced to grow up far sooner than they should have because of what transpired will feel that they did something right for themselves, for others, and for the community. And that's.
And I was just thinking, I wonder if the freshman boy that was named in the first lawsuit, it was a summer, like end of school summer football trip. So I would assume that the freshman boy may have been on the team the past year, or was he an incoming freshman that would play this year? Because if it was the former, I'm wondering if this was the first time that he had experienced something like this at the hands of the other football players. Unless it's just a quote tradition that happens during the football trip. And I did see Silent Angel said, from what I understand, since they canceled, they lose their chance at states just from those that are football know-it-alls. I would assume, like, I feel like state championships are based on ranking. I mean, I guess you could technically still be, I mean, they played a couple of games, so they're just going to have a bad record. I don't know how that works. I don't think they should be able to. No way.
Certainly what I hope as an advocate. But I can.
Yet at the same time, with 69 players and only like a dozen being named in a lawsuit, that's not fair to the other 50 players. I mean, those kids who didn't have anything to do with this are now feeling the full effect of what their peers did. And that's not fair. But, you know, I said today, I must have said it 3 times. This is why we can't have nice things. Because one student, a small group of students does something, and then it affects the entire student body.
See that they are hurting, you know, that this is even the whole experience. I mean, imagine you're 13, 14, 15 years old, and you're being interviewed by state, federal, and joint, imagine being 13 to 15 years old, 16 years old, and you're now being interviewed by the FBI and BCI and Youngstown PD, federal, state, and local law enforcement.
Well, I can't
imagine that, how shocking and traumatizing that might be. And you're being required to tell things you don't even want to talk to your parents about or your siblings about. So that's what this experience is like for them. It's painful for us as advocates to see them endure that. But, you know, we and their parents are very proud of their courage and determination and their willingness to speak their truth and be heard. And hopefully we've said to them, you know, inspire other people to stand up for themselves as well.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like for us to know?
No, just I want to reiterate one last time. We encourage any additional victims and witnesses to please come forward. You can visit chandralaw.com and you can use our secure contact form there. We welcome any information. We've received a lot of information. You won't be alone.
Thank you, Attorney Savo Chandra.
Thank you.
I do really like
At 9 years old, Aiden Wilkins is making history at a Pennsylvania college.
Every little thing I learn just fascinates me.
And
my
feeling
gosh,
right at home.
YouTube. Come on. Okay, that story was for another day. Okay, let me drop that down for now. Narco says this is just so bad for the kids who had no involvement. Yeah, it was. We must have said that around the same time. And those that just attend the school, I can't imagine just wanting to go to college and get a scholarship to help pay for it. Right. And a lot of times sports is the way to do it. Silent Angel says, I feel bad for seniors who may not have went and now can't play. Not sure if they will stay. Oh, their scholarship to college. Right. Because this is like when, this is their time for scouts to, try to recruit them. And now, which I can understand if some of the kids went to play for other districts, but if they are those named in the lawsuit, which many of them, the parents' names couldn't be found. Does the other school know that they're a part of this lawsuit if the kids weren't named? Oh, Silent Angel, I understood what you meant. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's really a shame. If the school had just done their due diligence when it happened, things wouldn't be the way they are. All right, so let's get into the lawsuit. So it is about 50 pages. I think I can we'll see. We may have to do it tomorrow as well because I just saw I'm already in an hour and I want to make sure that I give it the time it deserves. Okay, so let me get rid of that. Okay, so this was filed September 10th, 2025 in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Ohio, Eastern Division. So we have Mother Chef individually and on behalf of her minor child, Daughter Chef, pseudonyms. Plaintiffs Ursuline High School, Margaret Damore, John DeSantis, who is the athletic director and assistant football coach, the Catholic Diocese of Youngstown, and Ursuline Player-6, pseudonym, minor child individually, and Harris. I think this is first name unknown. So, well, I'm going to do something right quick. So I was looking at their roster. I'm not going to say his name, but okay, so there are 2 Harrises on Ursuline's team. One of them is a freshman. One of them is a junior. Interesting. One is 6'3" and 205. The other one, there are no stats for whatever reason. So, process of elimination, it has to be one of those 2 people. That is true, Senator. I mean, just because it's on a Snapchat group chat, the way that stuff spreads, especially, I mean, it's the truth. Fight videos, they can airdrop the stuff too. So, for example, I didn't know what airdropping was until a few years ago. Like, you can just hit a button and everyone who has the ability will get sent the video by just hitting a button. And then it's disseminated to however many schools, students, states. I mean, it could end up in California if you're in New York. It's crazy how technology can spread information now, good and bad. Good and bad. Okay, so Ursula. All right, so nature of action. This is a federal, let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger. There we go. This is a federal civil rights action brought by a female Ursuline High School student and her family against a high school, its officials and coach, and a football player and his parents. It alleges violations of Title IX of the Education Amendment. It includes supplemental claims for Ohio legal violations, including statutes establishing civil liability for criminal acts like felonious assault, failure to report abuse, aggravated menacing, and menacing by stalking, and includes other state law civil claims for failure to report abuse, negligent supervision, negligent training, supervision, discipline, hiring, and retention, assault, battery, and negligent infliction of emotional distress. Ursuline High School is a Catholic high school within the Diocese of Youngstown. Rather than act in accordance with its stated values and motto, Soli Deo Gloria, Latin for glory to God alone, Ursuline and at least 2 of its administrators, a coach and student, consistent with Ursuline's modus operandi, opted to violate those values and acted solely for the glory of its football team alone. I love that he's using that phrase throughout. Angel says, true, and I'm sure they do, but they probably didn't know what to do or who to tell just because how kids will get hurt. That's true. And if you know the reputation of the football team as what is being alleged to all of us, I would be afraid to come forward too. Or I would think, well, nothing's going to happen anyways, so why bother? Yeah, they probably heard the rumors and stayed out of it as to not get included. Beginning in June 2023, defendant Player-6, a 6-foot-tall star Ursuline High School football player, began sexually harassing fellow student daughter Chef, asking this petite, under 5-foot-tall freshman for sex and nude photos. Uninterested and still childlike in her growth stage, daughter refused Player-6's overtures. Unable to accept her rejection, Player-6's bullying and harassment escalated into a physical attack at school, causing daughter serious physical injuries, photographically depicted below. And I will say they're not terribly graphic, but you can see that this girl definitely was injured. Despite Mother Chef and Daughter Chef reporting the attack that day, defendant Assistant Principal Margaret Damore, on defendant Ursuline High School behalf, strongly advised them not to report the attack to police and falsely assured Mother the school would handle the matter. Both defendant Damore and defendant Athletic Director John DeSantis, after learning about the attack and injury, failed to report the matter to Children's Services or law enforcement as required by law. By Ohio criminal statute, they are mandated reporters. For the next 2 years, even after defendant Player-6 continued to harass, stalk, menace, ogle, and intimidate daughter, these Ursuline defendants took no action to protect daughter. Their failures continued even after daughter's elder brother, an Ursuline graduate once close to DeSantis, voiced frustration and disappointment about Ursuline's officials' persistent failures to protect his little sister and pressed DeSantis to act. The Ursuline defendants' intentional failures persisted even after daughter herself repeatedly reported to school officials defendant Player-6's ongoing predatory behavior. The Ursuline defendants' failures weren't just negligent. They were reckless and intentional because they sought to protect their venerated star football player at any cost. And they just didn't care about daughter. What mattered was the false idol of football. Mother had to sell her home and move so she could transfer daughter to another school and protect her child. Ursuline's culture of ignoring violent assaults by its football players has existed for many years, due in part to the school's negligent and reckless hiring, training, supervision, and retention of administrators, coaches, and teachers, and the school's willingness to turn a blind eye to the physical victimization of students it is entrusted to protect. All because the school elevates the glory of the football team above basic humanity and decency. Victims, both named and unnamed, have endured permanent and lasting harm, degradation, humiliation, intimidation, and retaliation. Ursuline and its administrators could and should have protected all of this. Now, because of the actions detailed in this complaint, defendants must be held accountable. Parties. Plaintiff Mother Chef, mother, is the mother of the victim, daughter Chef. They both reside in Trumbull County, Ohio. She is filing suit on behalf of her minor daughter. Plaintiff daughter Chef, daughter, a minor at the time of the filing, was a freshman and sophomore at Ursuline, but has since transferred to another high school. She resides with mother in Trumbull County, Ohio. When the sexual harassment and violence defendant Player-6 perpetrated against her started when she was a freshman happened, she was childlike and still playing with baby dolls. The events described below robbed her of her innocence. Defendant Ursuline High School, Ursuline, is a Catholic school under the Catholic Diocese of Youngstown, Diocese. Ursuline, with the diocese's approval, is responsible for its employees' hiring, retention, training, supervision, and termination. That includes its administrators, coaches, and teachers. Father Richard Murphy is Ursuline's president. Ursuline is in Mahoning County, Ohio. At times relevant, Ursuline received and receives federal funds. All right, let's get to chat quick. Angel says, over here, most kids attending these Catholic schools have someone who is bad news. I don't like to say that, but it is true, and have no problems doing something on the street. All the death threats innocent kids are getting are wrong. I agree. There is one woman on Facebook and TikTok harassing the kids and mothers of these players who didn't go. Yeah, that's crazy. They probably didn't even document. No, they probably didn't. But I remember, so this was years ago, but one of the classes that had come up into the high school, like they were very behavioral. And, you know, we would give them behavioral referrals. There were a lot of suspensions because there were a lot of fights, a lot of behavior that warranted it. And we were told to tone down the amount of referrals we were given, or to change what the behavior was, because certain behaviors were reported directly to the state, and that would affect state funding. So even though these things were happening, if it happened too much, the state would take away its aid for the following year. So I can see why it happens, but in some of these cases, like with this boy and this girl, something should have happened. Something should have happened. Hey, Sunnyside, how are you? Alrighty, so defendant Margaret Damore is Ursuline's assistant principal. She resides in Mahoning County, Ohio. Defendant John DeSantis is Ursuline's athletic director, teacher, and assistant football coach. He resides in Mahoning County, Ohio. Defendant Catholic Diocese of Youngstown is led by the bishop, currently Bishop David Bonner, who owns the diocesan property and is the final decision maker for the diocese and all entities within it, including Ursuline. The diocese is headquartered in Mahoning County, Ohio. The diocese is responsible for the negligent training, supervision, discipline, hiring, and retention of defendants Damore and DeSantis. Defendant Ursuline Player-6, a minor, is an Ursuline junior football player. Well, there goes, I know who the person is then. His address is unknown. Despite reasonable and diligent efforts, plaintiffs could not discover Player-6's address. After identifying Player-6's address, plaintiffs intend to amend this complaint. Plaintiffs reserve the right to amend this paragraph pending full discovery. Defendants FNU Harris and FNU Harris are Player-6's parents, whose exact identities are unknown, but whose involvement plaintiffs anticipate. Despite reasonable and diligent efforts, plaintiffs could not discover Harris and Harris's first names and identities. Upon identification, plaintiffs intend to amend this complaint. Plaintiffs reserve the right to amend this paragraph pending discovery. Other non-party individuals. Roy Schmidt is an Ursuline teacher and head girls soccer coach. Louise Cattell is an Ursuline guidance counselor. Interesting that they have two others that aren't a party of what happened, but are named in the lawsuit. Incorporation by reference. Plaintiffs incorporate by reference the complaint captioned King et al. Versus Ursuline High School et al., filed in the Northern District of Ohio, Eastern District, and all its successor complaints. The current operative complaint is filed concurrently with and incorporated as Example 1. Defendants Ursuline High School Assistant Principal Margaret Damore and the diocese are also named defendants in the Ursuline hazing complaint. Defendant John DeSantis, who is not named defendant in the Ursuline hazing complaint, is referenced in it. Defendant Player-6 is not named defendant in the Ursuline hazing complaint, but player 6 is referenced in the Ursuline hazing complaint for hazing, assaulting, and abusing a fellow Ursuline football player. Okay, so he's not named, but he is referenced. So somewhere in there, he had something. He was involved in something. Jurisdiction and venue. The court has subject matter jurisdiction under 28 U.S.C. for federal claims under Title IX of the Education Amendment, as codified under 20 U.S.C., which provides for attorney and expert fees. This court has supplemental jurisdiction over the state law claims under 28 U.S.C. This court has personal This court has personal jurisdiction over the defendants who reside in and conduct business in this district. Venue is proper under 28 U.S.C. because the substantial events giving rise to several of the claims took place within this district. Factual background. This is what I wanted to get to. In June 2023, daughter Chef attended summer gym class at Ursuline High School, and Ursuline football player 6 violently assaulted her. So they seem to have a lot of summer. Summer seems to be when all of these things happen. The football trip was like towards the end of the year, summer. This girl was assaulted in the summer. In June 2023, plaintiff daughter Chef, who had just completed the 8th grade and was about to become a freshman that fall at defendant Ursuline High School, attended a summer gym class. Daughter was only 14 years old and stood under 5 feet tall, weighing less than 120 pounds. Defendant player 6, a then freshman at Ursuline, was also in the same summer gym class. Player 6 was an Ursuline football player and stood about 6 feet tall and weighed about 200 pounds. Before the start of summer class, daughter had never met player 6. Almost immediately, player 6 made advances and flirted with daughter, often trying to touch her hands and arms or putting his arms around her shoulders. At first, daughter thought player 6 was just being playful. When player 6 added daughter to a Snapchat friends list, daughter accepted the friend request. Player 6 became increasingly aggressive over Snapchat and asked daughter to send him nude photos and if she wanted to have sex. Daughter adamantly refused both. Daughter, innocent and naive, having just graduated from a Catholic grade school, was shocked by player 6's words and actions. I really hope she saved those messages. Daughter, uninterested in player 6's advances, made her feelings known to him. But player 6 became more aggressive. No, baby, no, stop it. But player 6 became more aggressive on Snapchat, and daughter had to block him on Snapchat. Well, good for her that she blocked him. That probably pissed him off even more, though. After daughter rejected player 6, he became even more aggressive. Well, there we go. The once playful touches of the arms and shoulders became forceful and hostile. As player 6 became increasingly angry with daughter's continued rejection, he became more aggressive. On the last day of class, June 29th, during a break, daughter and some of her friends' classmates were at one end of the turf on Cafaro Field, located across the street from Ursuline. Daughter and one of her friends were picking up the black turf pellets and playfully sprinkling them on each other's legs. Okay, so turf field. Player 6 walked over and sat across from daughter. Player 6 tried to flirt with daughter and tried to put the pellets on daughter's legs. Daughter told player 6 to stop, but he kept doing it, and she kept telling him to stop. Another of daughter's friends jokingly sprinkled pellets in her hair, causing daughter to turn toward her friend and say, "Stop." Player 6 picked up a handful of black pellets from the turf and threw them at daughter's face, hitting her. Daughter told player 6 to stop, but he said no and continued to forcibly throw the pellets, hitting daughter in the face. Daughter again told player 6 to stop and that he was hurting her. No, buddy, come on, dude. All right, hopefully he didn't mess things up too bad. He just stepped on my computer. He was being so good, too. Hey, Coddle. Hey, Boston. Thanks for being here. Narco says, I think she was doing summer classes for gym. I did that so I could take 2 extra classes when school started back up in the fall. Okay, so kind of like summer school, but you're getting credit before school actually starts. That actually makes sense. Okay, so she told him to stop and he was hurting her. When player 6 continued to throw the pellets at her, daughter picked up some pellets and threw them back at player 6. Daughter said, see, you don't like when it happens to you, do you? Daughter tried to get up, but player 6 grabbed her ankle to prevent her from leaving. Daughter kicked away player 6's hand and started to run away in fear. Player 6 became enraged at daughter and said, now I'm going to beat her ass. As player 6 chased after daughter, he again yelled, now I'm going to beat her ass. Player 6 quickly caught up to daughter, grabbed her by the wrist, picked her up off the ground, and as daughter struggled to break free, he dropped her on her back. Player 6 picked up daughter again and threw her over his shoulders. Daughter cried hysterically and screamed, someone help me, and help multiple times. Daughter even pleaded with player 6 to put her down, but he refused. Player 6 carried daughter toward the concrete, and as daughter struggled to get away, he dropped her on her face and stomach on the turf. Daughter kept screaming both in pain and for help. No Ursuline teachers came to her rescue. Player 6 grabbed daughter's ankles, flipped her on her back, and dragged her across the turf, yelling, I'm going to give you turf burn real bad. Where are her friends? I'm assuming her friends saw this happening? Yeah, definitely an a-hole. I agree, Sunnyside. Player 6 dragged daughter for about 30 feet across the turf while he continued yelling about giving daughter turf burn. Daughter cried throughout the attack. Throughout the vicious attack, player 6 laughed sadistically. Finally, another Ursuline student yelled at player 6 to stop, and he let go. Crying, daughter ran over to a group of girl students and asked them to look at her back. So there were people around for this, and it seems like there was the whole class was outside during this. So there are witnesses to what he did, and the fact that another student had to tell him to stop and no adult did, where are the adults? Daughter was in excruciating pain from the burns on her back. The stinging pain was exacerbated because due to the summer heat and it being gym class, daughter was sweating and the sweat was getting into the open wounds. Oh God, that must hurt so bad. The turf pellets had also embedded into the open wounds, contributing to daughter's pain. A junior female looked at daughter's back and said, this is really bad, and that they had to go to the bathroom. Daughter and the junior went to get the gym teacher, Roy Schmidt, and told him that player 6 had dragged her across the turf and showed him the turf burns on her back. Schmidt is also Ursuline's girls' soccer coach. Daughter asked Schmidt if she could go to the restroom, which he permitted. Schmidt said, yeah, you can go to the bathroom and get that cleaned up. Okay, at least there's one good adult, Mr. Schmidt. As daughter and the junior were on the way to the restroom, daughter saw defendant John DeSantis, who was Ursuline's athletic director and an assistant football coach responsible for player 6. DeSantis was grilling hot dogs for the last day of summer school picnic. DeSantis asked what happened, and daughter told him that they had just gotten rough with her. DeSantis, with no interest or sympathy, just said, okay, and told her to go to the bathroom. He went back to grilling the hot dogs. Daughter's chef was seriously injured. When daughter got to the bathroom and the junior tried to wash off the pellets and turf from daughter's back, the junior asked if daughter wanted her to take photos of her back to show her mother, stating, this is really bad. At 11 a.m., the junior photographed daughter's back and daughter texted it to her mother. That is really bad. That is really bad. And of course, nothing happened to this kid. Yeah, it seems like the friends were around. They just possibly weren't named. This boy needs a good man figure in his life to show him good manners. Well, apparently he's got a dad that lives with him, but yeah, she needed first aid for sure. Daughter, concerned about what her mother would do if she told her the extent of what happened and not wanting to go into details, texted mother she, quote, got dragged. Daughter was afraid of Player-6 and felt he would retaliate against her if she told anyone what happened. She did not want him to physically abuse her, or scratch that. She did not want him to physically abuse again. Daughter did not call mother while she was in the bathroom because technically she wasn't allowed to use a cell phone to make a call in class. Mother knew from the photo that the injuries were not from gym class and questioned daughter about what really happened, but daughter didn't want to go into details. When mother received daughter's text, she immediately completed her work, left home, and headed to Ursuline. After cleaning herself up, daughter returned to the gym class and waited for any Ursuline administrator or teacher to come talk to her. But no one from Ursuline came to check on daughter or talk to her about the attack. Player-6 was still present at the class. Toward the end of class, there was a water balloon fight on Ursuline's grass field, but anyone who didn't want to participate was permitted to stay in the parking lot. Daughter and another student friend stood in the parking lot. Player-6 walked over and tried to throw water on daughter. The student friend yelled at Player-6, "You did this to her. What the fuck is wrong with you?" Player-6 responded, "Yeah, and I do it again." Mother arrived at Ursuline about 11:59 a.m. as the gym class was ending. Hey, Glow, how are ya? I know, Boston. This is, I mean, just like that, the boy, the hazing lawsuit, like this is just as bad. And the fact that it seems like there were several witnesses and administration did nothing. I mean, thank goodness that soccer coach was also there, who was also a teacher. Mother and daughter went to the office and reported defendant Player-6's violent attack to defendant's assistant principal Margaret Damore and athletic director John DeSantis. Mother knew that daughter's injuries were not from gym class. Daughter broke down crying and told mother what happened in detail. Mother took daughter directly to Ursuline's main office and asked to speak with the principal. As they were waiting, DeSantis entered the office. Mother told him, "I'm hot about this. This shouldn't have happened. No boy should be touching a girl like this." He didn't respond. Defendant Ursuline Assistant Principal Margaret Damore came out and escorted mother, daughter, and DeSantis to her office. Daughter tried to explain what happened, going back to the start of class with Player-6, his sexual Snapchat messages, and his increasingly aggressive behavior leading up to the attack. Despite daughter reporting sexual harassment, Damore responded coldly, "I'm not interested in what happened before, and that, quote, I only want to hear what happened today." Daughter explained in detail as much as she could about the attack, but Damore was clearly impatient and hurried to end the meeting. Sensing Damore's disinterest in what happened, hold on one second. Sorry about that. There was a whole lot of hissing going on behind me. Okay. Hopefully I can't find the baby kitten, so hopefully he got away. Okay. Sensing Damore's disinterest in what happened and attempts to downplay the violent attack, mother finally had daughter lift her shirt to expose the injuries to her back. Upon seeing daughter's injuries, Damore, unsympathetically, tried to blame daughter for not telling anyone what happened immediately. She did tell someone immediately. She told the soccer coach. Upon seeing daughter's injuries, DeSantis excused himself from the meeting. What a douche. Mother explained that daughter did immediately inform the gym teacher, Roy Schmidt, about the attack, yet Schmidt did nothing. Okay, so and he's also the soccer coach. Mother also explained that daughter informed DeSantis on her way to bathroom, yet DeSantis, too, did nothing. Damore stated that she would, quote, handle it. Mother responded, "This is a physical assault on my daughter. No man should be touching a girl, and this kid should not be at Ursuline High School." I agree with Mother. Damore's indifference and lack of sympathy became even more evident, and her demeanor became even more dismissive. Mother demanded that Player 6 be disciplined and further demanded that Player 6 not be in any classes with daughter and have no contact with daughter. Damore promised Mother and daughter that Player 6 would be in no classes with daughter and would have no contact with her during the school day. Mother told Damore that she wanted to file a police report because Player 6's attack was a crime. Damore pleaded, that's an interesting word. Damore pleaded with Mother and convinced Mother not to file a police report. That's a shame. Hey, Casey, how are you? Right, Sunnyside football is more important. Shake my effing head. Yep. Damore insisted that the attack be handled in-house and said, "I strongly advise you not to file a police report." Damore said it wasn't necessary to involve law enforcement authorities and that she wasn't going to contact them. When Mother insisted that the school must act, Damore claimed there was, quote, nothing that could be done at the time because it was summer and summer classes had ended. That is bullshit. That is absolute BS. Like, summer classes is school events, and we all saw the code of conduct. We kind of read through the last lawsuit. Any school sponsored function, summer school, at school, the code of conduct applies. We've had students who wait until the last day of school to get into a fight. They will be suspended the first week of school upon return. If there is summer school and there's a fight, there is discipline. Like, you just can't do whatever you want. That's bullshit. I'm sorry, I call bullshit. Daughter pointed out that Player 6 was a football player practicing that summer. Of course he was. Damore said, "I will see what I can do," and then did nothing. Damore assured Mother that she would address Player 6's conduct on the first day of school. Other Ursuline students told daughter that Player 6 was at the football team's summer practices and had not been disciplined. Neither Damore nor DeSantis reported the criminal attack to Children's Services or law enforcement, even though they are both mandatory reporters and are required to report it under Ohio Rev Code 2151.421. Neither Children's Services nor law enforcement ever contacted Mother. No one from Ursuline contacted Mother or daughter to inform them that Player 6 was disciplined. Based on information and belief, defendants never disciplined Player 6 for the attack on daughter. He played the entire football season. Of course he did. Of course he did. For weeks after Player 6's attack, daughter Chef suffered in extreme pain. Upon returning home, daughter was in excruciating pain. Mother had to carefully remove the turf and pellets, which had been ground into the wounds on daughter's back. If you can learn anything from this, if a school ever tells you never to call law enforcement or go to an emergency room, that's not good, because the first thing that we do, like if a student is injured, like say in a fight, the nurse will tend to them, but the nurse even will say, you need to go to get them checked out at urgent care. Or if it's really serious, obviously we call 911. There's only been one fight that I've seen that 911 had to be called. Daughter couldn't even shower the first night because of the pain. The turf burns on daughter's back were visible for more than a week. The injuries and pain from the turf burn and from being dropped twice on the ground persisted for weeks. Even after the first night, daughter, for weeks, couldn't shower without pain because of the turf burns. And when she did try to shower, she cried. Because of the injuries, daughter, for weeks, could not sleep or lie down on her back without pain. Daughter could not wear a shirt without pain for weeks because of the turf burn. Daughter's back pain has been continuous and ongoing. I really hope her mom brought her to a doctor or something, because Glow, yes, mom is suing the school, the diocese, and has named the assistant principal, athletic director, and a football player, junior football player. Despite defendant assistant principal Margaret Damore's assurance that player 6 wouldn't be in class with her when daughter Chef began school in the fall, defendant player 6 was in class with her. Ursuline put him there. When daughter started class in the fall of 2023, player 6 was in at least one class with her. The school is large enough that this was completely avoidable. Damore broke her promise to mother that player 6 would be in no classes with daughter. Player 6 continued to harass and make sexual advances toward daughter. Daughter tried to ignore player 6, but he persisted. On several days in September 2023, while in class, player 6 would walk over and sit at daughter's table with her and her friend. Each time, daughter immediately got up and sat at another table. Player 6 tried to get daughter's friends to side with him and told them he wanted to, quote, put on with her. Teenage lingo for date. Daughter refused. Player 6 even had his friends approach daughter and tell her that he wanted to put on with her. Daughter again refused. Why would you think that someone would want to date you after you violently dropped them on their back, their face, dragged them across turf? Like, again, just like the kids in the last lawsuit at Ursuline, something is wrong with this kid. Right, Boston. This poor girl could be traumatized for life and all they care about is football. Yep. And for those of you who haven't listened to the lawsuit that I spoke about last week, I would definitely implore you to do so, because that one is just as horrific, only there's a lot more players involved. Football players. In October 2023, player 6 tried to turn daughter's friends against her, claiming that she lied about him assaulting her, despite his admitting it previously. Daughter communicated her concerns and fears to her older brother, who graduated from Ursuline in 2023. On Friday, October 6, 2023, worried for his sister's safety, brother texted athletic director DeSantis, hoping that DeSantis would handle the situation. Brother wrote, "You know I am sort of disappointed in you and the school for letting that kid continue to do the same thing with no consequences. Sad face. After he was told not to come near my sister, he is sending his friends over to her to tell her during study hall that he wants, quote, the put on with her, end quote. It isn't just her that he's disrespectful to, but that isn't my business to tell. Why is it that you all said there would be consequences and he received nothing? You guys said he wouldn't be in her classes, but he's in her study hall still bothering her. Why is it that I'm sitting here at 19 years old telling grown adults they didn't do what they promised to do? If you ask why my sister isn't saying anything, it's because she is scared and has little to no faith that anything will be done, because the school basically told her to fuck off after getting beat up. Should have pressed charges, put faith in people, and it was a mistake." Go Big Brother. Where is his parents in this? His parents probably didn't even know it happened. His parents probably had no idea this had happened. Oh, look. Good job, big bro. Good job keeping the keep in the text message. So October 6th, 2023 at 9:51 p.m. DeSantis did nothing. Worse than that, he falsely claimed he didn't know what brother was talking about, even though brother told him what was currently happening. In the next breath, he acknowledged that a, quote, situation happened 4 months ago. It wasn't 4 months ago, though. It was June, July. Oh, yeah, I guess it was 4 months ago. Okay, so he acknowledged that a situation happened 4 months ago. DeSantis simply ignored and wished away the report about Player-6's current conduct in study hall. And on top of that, he remonstrated brother for texting him. Not sure what you're talking about. I know that texting me right now is not the way to handle it. It's actually taking advantage of the fact that you have my number. I gave you my number to reach out if you were in need of help. He's reaching out for help, sir. The situation you mentioned happened 4 months ago. If there is something going on, she needs to report it to me on Monday morning. Oh, and there it is. Good job, big brother. And this happened 2 years ago. Okay, so I'm just going to read this. Actually, I'll skip. So then big brother responds, brushing it under the rug. That's like saying I take advantage of your email if I were to email you. You didn't listen to anything I just said. Nothing was done about the first incident. Nobody cares. Now he's continuing. Don't need your help anymore. I am not a student anymore. You tread around me like a stranger. You right. I shouldn't have your number. I won't text you anymore. Just do your job because I know she's going to say something. What you don't understand is I'm so upset hearing and watching what has happened to her. Defendant DeSantis claimed he'd not been informed of anything since June. He said this despite Damore having promised she would address Player-6's conduct on the first day of school. So defendants never had any intention of addressing Player-6's conduct and protecting daughter. And remember, he left the meeting. So he could say, oh, well, I didn't know about it. I wasn't there. In my opinion, of course. Yep, and there's the text message. Oh my gosh, they went back and forth, back and forth. Okay. I'm going to just read the text messages because I feel like it's easier to read the text than the text. So DeSantis responds, well, I hope you don't mean that. I'll always be here to help. If your sister is having a problem with anyone, please have her go to the office and report it to Mr. Sammartino or myself. So Mr. Sammartino is the principal. I have not been informed of anything since June. So please, if she is having issues with others, please have her go to the office Monday. Have a good weekend. Brother responds, regardless of whether you were in charge at the time or not, I thought you would be a voice for her. The school filled us with empty promises saying he wouldn't be in her classes or they would handle it. Nah, he's in them. And no, y'all didn't give him any consequences, not even a follow-up with my sister or my family. He continues to do the same thing. Not even just to mine, but other people's sisters too. If it was your daughter that got beat up and harassed, you would be all over it and you know it. You want to help me one last time? Do it by helping my sister. DeSantis responds, if there are problems happening with other students, she needs to report what is happening, when, by who, etc. Please advise her to report the issues that are going on. Brother responds, she is. 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. This is why people should keep all text messages, never delete unless you don't need it. Yep. Especially in situations like this where it may be important later on. Just like the mom and son in the lawsuit filed just before this. She saved all of her text messages. They can't say it didn't exist, because it did. It did. Okay, so I read through that. Defendant DeSantis, downplaying the situation, said daughter should report anything to him or the office. On Tuesday, October 10th, 2023, so these text messages were from, what day did it say? Sorry, I don't remember what day it was. October 6th. Okay, so 4 days later, she goes to the office. Daughter went to Ursuline guidance counselor Louise Cotel and said she wasn't comfortable with Player-6 being in her class because of the attack and his continued harassment. Daughter elaborated on Player-6's attack and continued harassment. Cotel took notes of the conversation. She told daughter she might tell the principal, but that she would address it with DeSantis. Later that day, DeSantis spoke to daughter. DeSantis was very short with daughter and showed no interest in obtaining any of the details about what was happening. DeSantis told daughter that they were not going to remove Player-6 from her class because she, quote, didn't like him, especially over something that happened more than 3 months ago, and it's time to get over it. Wow. DeSantis wanted daughter to settle your differences with Player-6 and become friends. That is, he expected her to befriend her attacker. Daughter tried to explain that it had nothing to do with her liking Player-6. It had to do with Player-6 violently attacking and injuring her and his continued advancements and harassment. DeSantis retorted that he wasn't removing Player-6 from the class and reiterated, it's time for daughter to move on. He abruptly ended the meeting. DeSantis, a football coach, showed not the slightest interest in his charge, football Player-6's ongoing harassment. Ursuline defendants did not remove Player-6 from daughter's class. Within days of daughter's report to Cotel and DeSantis, Player-6 called daughter a snitch and, while staring at daughter, said to a classmate loud enough for daughter to hear, she tried to get me in trouble, but she failed. He was right that daughter failed in securing any help from the defendants. Player-6 knew that at Ursuline, football is the false idol and that he was above any accountability from administrators and coaches. Even in the class with daughter, he and she got to hear the teacher sing his praises for his performance on the gridiron. Player-6 felt he could do anything to daughter and get away with it, because Ursuline administrators made him feel that way. Emboldened, Player-6 persisted in repeatedly walking over to daughter's table during class and trying to talk to her and her friends. Throughout her freshman year, Player-6 stared at and ogled daughter when he would see her in class in the school's hallways, causing her more fear and apprehension, especially given Damore and DeSantis' refusal to properly address the situation. And at other times, when daughter refused to engage with Player-6, he stared angrily at her, causing her fear and apprehension that he would suddenly and violently attack her again. At least 2 to 3 more times, daughter reported Player-6's predatory behavior in words to Cotel, who stated there was nothing they could do now, but assured daughter that Player-6 wouldn't be in class with her next semester. Fall semester 2024, daughter, now a sophomore, had another class with Player-6. That semester, the cycle of Player-6 staring at and ogling daughter, which she consistently rejected, and then Player-6 glaring at daughter daily, continued just as it had daughter's freshman year. Knowing defendants were not going to help her caused daughter to give up all hope. She stopped going to them. As a reasonable and foreseeable result, daughter fell into a state of depression and didn't want to go to school most days. Daughter missed at least 35 days of school her sophomore year and arrived late and early on many other days. Daughter even became physically sick many days because of the situation. Daughter often says, Going to Ursuline was the worst 2 years of my life. They drained the life out of me. That's so sad to me. Pookie says Player-6 is going to end up in prison. Sure is. Yeah, a physical assault and telling her to get over it. Shake my head. Yeah, oh, it happened 4 months ago. Get over it. Like, these people, I swear. I wonder if any of these administrators who did nothing have daughters. And her brother's correct. If it happened to his kid, they'd be, you know, all over it. Daughter experienced disparate treatment at the hands of defendants Ursuline High School and Margaret Damore. In August through September 2024, daughter let her friend 1, another Ursuline student, borrow her cell phone. Friend 1 used daughter's cell phone to prank text an Ursuline teacher. Friend 1 pranked that she got the teacher's number from a dating app and carried on a conversation with him. Initially, daughter did not know friend 1 was using her cell phone to prank text a teacher, but upon learning, joined in. Ursuline learned of daughter and friend 1's pranks soon after school began. Daughter admitted her involvement in the silliness. Damore blamed daughter for letting friend 1 borrow her cell phone in the first place. Ursuline and Damore suspended daughter from school for 5 days. The maximum suspension permitted without diocesan approval. So she got 5 days for prank calling a teacher. Is it inappropriate? Yes. Should she have consequences? Yes. Should it be 5 days? No. Honestly, it should be a phone call home and maybe a day out of school. Or if they had detention, give her detention for a couple of days. But this dude can physically assault someone and nothing happens. Ursuline and Damore also took away daughter's cell phone privileges at school for the remainder of the year. Based on information and belief, friend 1 was only suspended for 3 days when she was the one who started the silliness in the first place. At Ursuline, a girl prank texting warrants the maximum 5-day suspension and loss of cell phone privileges, but violent attacks by a male football player merits no discipline or safety measures. Exactly what I just said. So her friend got 3 days suspension. She got 5 days suspension because it was her phone. And the football player gets nada. Shortly after this, another Ursuline teacher called friend 1 gay during class and posted friend 1's test grade on the board for the entire class to see and belittled friend 1 in front of the class. What the hell? Why would you call a student gay? Why would you post their test grade on the board for the entire class to see? I'm guessing it probably wasn't a very good grade. And then belittled the friend in front of the class. Sounds like this school needs an overhaul. Based on information and belief, friend 1's parents threatened to sue Ursuline and settled the matter out of court. So I wonder what kind of pull friend 1 had. Because in the instance of the freshman boy who was hazed and sexually assaulted, the school wouldn't do anything until they filed this federal civil rights lawsuit. Friend 1 transferred to another high school. How many other instances has the school engaged in where it, quote, settled out of court? Boston says, when my son was in 3rd grade, he got more punishment than this kid. And my son was imitating that character, Jeffy. Oh, that's from, is that from Rugrats? Is Jeffy from Rugrats? I don't think it's Rugrats. It's a different one. Wow. In April 2024, two of daughter's best friends were feuding, and daughter learned that friend 2 and friend 3 planned to fight in the cafeteria during lunch. Both the night before and the morning of the planned fight, in the hope of preventing it, friend 3's mother contacted Ursuline and Damore to alert them. Ursuline and Damore ignored the warnings. The morning of the planned fight, daughter, hoping to prevent the fight between her best friends, asked her substitute teacher during class if she could go to her locker, which the teacher permitted. Because friend 2 was in class with daughter didn't want friend 2 to know daughter was leaving class to alert the school about the planned fight. Daughter went to her locker and grabbed a book, but rather than return to class, daughter went to the guidance counselor's office, which was near her locker. Daughter told Ursuline guidance counselor Louise Cattell about the planned fight. Cattell assured daughter that she would alert DeSantis, which she did. When daughter returned to class, the substitute teacher gave daughter a detention for taking too long to return to class. Since when can substitutes give students detention? When daughter went to lunch, no extra administrations, teachers, resource officers, or anyone were there to prevent the fight. The fight occurred and friend 3 was seriously injured, requiring a trip to the emergency room. The fight was video recorded and shared with other students and the community at large. Ursuline administrators broke up the fight and escorted friend 2 to the office. When no Ursuline administrators or teachers came to friend 3's aid, daughter's other friends helped friend 3 to the bathroom while daughter retrieved friend 3's belongings. As daughter was going to check on friend 3, Damore saw her in the hallways and yelled at her for not being at lunch. Daughter explained why she was not at lunch, and Damore yelled at her to, quote, mind your own business. That afternoon, Damore summoned daughter to her office. Damore chastised daughter for being away from class too long and getting the detention. Daughter protested the detention because her intentions were good. She was trying to stop the planned fight. Despite daughter trying to prevent violence, Damore refused to waive the 5-point deduction on daughter's conduct grade, but agreed to waive daughter serving the detention. A few weeks later, Damore reneged and forced daughter to serve the detention. What? How can you force someone to serve detention weeks later? What? Daughter met with Damore and questioned why she was forced to serve the detention, but Damore never disciplined Player-6 for his far worse conduct. Damore sat unresponsive. Sorry, give me 1 second. I got a kitten here being a little snuggy buggy. Okay, so Damore sat unresponsive. Daughter said, so you're just never going to help me with Player-6 or anything else? Damore responded simply, no. So no good deed goes unpunished at Ursuline. These were acts of retaliation for daughter's reports about the all-important football Player-6. Okay, so we've got 21 pages left. I'm going to go a little bit longer. My voice is starting to get a little tired, so we're going to have to do 2 parts of this. I'll do this next section, and then we're going to call it a day because my voice is starting to hurt. Because of defendant Player-6's violent attack and continued harassment, and because defendant's assistant principal Margaret Damore and athletic director John DeSantis failed to report the matter or act, combined with defendant's Ursuline High School and assistant principal Margaret Damore's retaliatory and disparate treatment, defendant was compelled to transfer schools. Daughter fell into another state of depression and continued desire not return to school because of defendants. Mother rightfully feared for her daughter's safety and well-being if she returned to Ursuline. So in August 2025, oh wow, so just this past summer, mother sold their house in which the family lived for 28 years and moved to another school district so daughter could leave Ursuline and transfer to another high school. Mother refused to speak to Ursuline about the transfer because defendants lied to her family so many times. Mother had the new high school arrange the transfer. Okay, so I didn't think that section was so short. So I am going to end this there. And tomorrow we will finish up the next half of the lawsuit. Because the next part gets into, it talks about, so the next section is titled Defendant Ursuline High School's Preferential Treatment of its Football Players and Desire to Keep Misconduct Silence has been ongoing for years. So I'm interested to see what the law firm's investigation was able to uncover, showing a history of trying to cover things up and sweeping things under the rug. Let me just get back to chat quick. Angel says, to my acknowledgement, none, but who knows, I graduated in 99. When I went, none of this stuff would have happened. We had hazing, but nothing like this stuff. Lana said, it was YouTube. It could be a bit inappropriate. I agree. They gave him 2 weeks, no recess, 1 week detention, and he couldn't go to the field trip. Holy crap. Jeez. That's crazy. That's crazy. All right, y'all. Well, thanks for being here. I do appreciate it. I will be live again tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern time. If anything changes, I will let you know. But as far as I know, I won't be doing anything after work. So I appreciate you all. I hope you have a good rest of your day, morning, night, wherever you may be. If you are watching this on the replay, #replay, leave a comment below. And until next time, y'all, I will see you on the flip side.
You have one shot on stage, what you got to play? Generic drops for days, still the people rage. Am I not insane? Can you stop and explain why these drops are so lame? Is money buying you fame? I'm fucking on, I'm killing it with this song. You haters can sing along or go back where you belong. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with giving up, moving on. Cause I took your girl to prom, she can't help but sing this song. Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out, and my high harassed. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out, and my high harassed. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. So on like a light switch, flirting back. There's nothing wrong with the way that she's working that. I just want that body bad, come on baby, bring it back. I'm so gone, faded off a 30 rack. She's so on like a light switch, flirting back. There's nothing wrong with the way that she's working that. I just want that body bad, come on baby, bring it back. I rap with a passion, yeah, I got it in me. I've been waiting quite a long time for y'all to hear me. It's about damn time you put some stock into me. You're either sponsoring me or fucking bothering me. And the fact is, we just practice on this madness. That is why your status is like a canvas. Chances our advancement is enhancing, and this new expansion's like a mansion. Comes off till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out, and my high harass. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse. Till the roof comes off, till the lights go out, till my legs give out, can't shut my mouth, till the smoke clears out, and my high harass. I'ma rip this shit till my bones collapse.